Ladies and gentlemen, we have all of the groups of the 2026 World Cup, and the United States was placed on what I shall call Group Cupcake, or just Group D, alongside Paraguay, Australia, and a UEFA nation that is to be determined in March. It can be Turkey, Kosovo, Slovakia, or maybe Romania. Now, none of these opponents are pushovers by any means, but also none of them are powerhouses, so I kind of like our odds. However, what if I told you there is a path that was handed to the United States that could lead to a deep run? Maybe not an easy path, but a very realistic one. Today I want to talk about that and Group D. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today we're going to do kind of an early USA Group D preview. We already had the live reaction when the group was out. That was last Friday. Now we had some time to dive into the opponents, the bracket, and I want to talk about all of that today. Because I want to say this, in theory, we're actually well positioned for a quarterfinals run, as long as we don't underperform. And now that the draw is set, let me know how far you think the US men's national team will realistically go, and how many points do you think we will get in this group. And make sure to drop a like in this video. I won't be asking during the episode, it helps the channel a lot, and it's a way for you to support us for free. And this video is brought to you by FanDuel, but more on that later. Let's start the episode. The US men's national team will open the 2026 World Cup against Paraguay, followed by a game against Australia, and then we're going to close the group stage versus the UEFA nation in the group, which can be Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo. Regardless of which UEFA nation qualifies, those are all Tier 2 or Tier 3 nations in Europe, so we shouldn't really be concerned, whoever it is. Turkey technically is the best of the bunch there, but they're still not a powerhouse. They're in fact a very beatable team. The top two teams of each group qualify directly to the round of 32, and the 8 best third place teams also advance. So if you have 4 points and a decent goal differential, let's say 2 or 3 on the positive side, you will very likely qualify to the next round, which that didn't happen in previous editions where only the top 2 of each group would advance. So that essentially means that if you have one punching bag in the group, you're set. But unfortunately, in our group, we don't really have a punching bag. But at the same time, we have no powerhouse, no super team. Let's put it this way. If you look at the United States' group, US, Australia, Paraguay, and let's say Turkey, right? Let's say Turkey. None of these teams are expected to even make it to the quarterfinals. So this is not a very tough group. Out of the potential options that we had, this is a great draw for the US men's national team. We got the lowest ranked Pot 2 team, which is Australia, which is not even a top team in the Asian Confederation. The lowest ranked South American team, which is Paraguay, they qualified in 6th, and they're definitely the weakest CONMEBOL nation in the World Cup as long as Bolivia doesn't qualify in March. And we got what very likely is the worst or top 3 bottom European teams via playoffs. Now listen, if Turkey qualifies, okay, if they qualify, let's assume they do in March, we will have played all 3 teams in our group in friendlies within a year from the World Cup. We played Turkey last June. We lost to them. I believe it was 2-1. We didn't have most of our players, but we did lose 2-1 to Turkey. We defeated Australia recently in the second semester of 2025. We also defeated recently Paraguay. Now you may be wondering, what does this mean? Absolutely nothing. Friendlies or results of friendly games don't mean jack crap. Think about it for a second. Back in 2018, the World Cup that we didn't qualify, we tied France in a friendly right before they went on to win the World Cup. And let's put it this way too, most recently. In 2022, 6 months before the World Cup, we defeated Morocco 3-0. 6 months. And then they changed their coach, they brought back Ziyech, and they had that semifinals run. So any friendly result, take it with a grain of salt. And now, let's talk about our opponents. And we'll talk about them in order of that we're going to face. So we'll start with Paraguay, we'll talk about Australia, and then the UEFA nation. But before we do so, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, FanDuel. We'll be back very soon. In the meantime, don't forget to drop a like in this video. The groups are out for the biggest sporting event in the world. And FanDuel is getting ready for it. Right now, FanDuel is giving all customers 30% profit boost on any futures bet of the greatest sporting event in the world that happens to be soccer. Like, who will win it? Will it be Spain? France? Argentina once again? England? Brazil? Not the United States for sure. Or will they? So if you have a team or a star player that you follow, go play at FanDuel. They got everything you need, like live odds, fast payouts, and an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So download the app now. I'll put the link in the description of this video, and make sure to claim your 30% profit boost on futures of the sporting event that will be the greatest of all time in the United States of America in 2026. FanDuel, play your game. Okay, we are back, and we're gonna start by talking about Paraguay. Now, we obviously beat them recently in a friendly, as I said, but let's ignore that for a second, because you know what? This team, if there was one word to describe them, is annoying, because they're tough to beat. They qualified in CONMEBOL in 6th place, which is the very last spot that you qualify directly. They only qualified due to the expanded World Cup. If it was 32 teams, they would not have qualified. But at the same time, they were the 3rd best defense in World Cup qualifying, only behind Argentina and Ecuador. But they also were among the worst offenses in World Cup qualifying. Despite finishing in 6th place, which isn't great, they had the same number of points as Brazil, Uruguay, and Colombia. Yes, from 3rd place all the way to 6th place, all the teams had the same amount of points. And Paraguay has been on the rise ever since they did a terrible job in the 2024 Copa America. They got a new coach, they hired Gustavo Alfaro, and they've done quite good since. They went on like a 9 to 10 game streak that they couldn't lose, they wouldn't lose. They defeated Brazil in Paraguay, they defeated Argentina in Paraguay, they defeated Uruguay in Paraguay. So this team is a bit of an enigma, right? They'll lose to a crap team, or they'll struggle to score against everyone, but then they'll defeat Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay. Like, they lost to the United States in a friendly, right, here in the US. But then they also beat Mexico. I think the big difference between Paraguay and, for example, in Australia that we're going to talk about very soon is Paraguay actually has some very talented players. Gustavo Gomes is an incredible center back, Miguel Almiron is a very dangerous winger, and Ciso is a major talent. So this is a team that defends well and is very tough to score on, and I know they struggle to score, but in any given moment, players like that can win you a game. So don't underestimate Paraguay. So just to recap here real quick, Paraguay is a tough team to score on in competitive games. However, they don't score a lot as well. At home, the United States should absolutely go for the win. They should beat Paraguay, but this will be a grind. It'll be a tough game. And if we do underestimate Paraguay, we will fail to get the win. Now, Australia, a country that I used to respect a lot until I found out they lost a war to emus. To birds. And Australia made it to the 2026 World Cup by finishing in 2nd place in the final stage of their World Cup qualifying group, only behind Japan. They had 5 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss in 10 games, which, when you look into that group, those numbers aren't very good. They're not terrible. I mean, they qualified, but they're not good numbers. Australia, to me, is like a EFL championship team or an old school English team that's just playing Brexit ball or Route 1 football, whatever you want to call it, right? They're very physical. They're tough to play against, but they often lack the quality to punish you in the final third. The one thing that scares me about him a little bit is that they have shown many times that they can overperform. In 2006, they got out of their group in the World Cup and they lost to Italy just 1-0 in the round of 16. The same Italy that went on to win the 2006 World Cup. Now in 2022, they got out of their group, eliminating Denmark and Tunisia, finishing only behind France. They also gave the 2022 World Cup champs a very hard time in the round of 16, where Argentina defeated them just 2-1. Now besides that, they haven't really ever gotten out of their group in all other World Cups. The team does in fact lack talent, and they try to make it up for with grit. So again, this is another team that at home, the United States should absolutely defeat them. But if we underestimate them, we are not going to win this. And I know that Australians and Paraguayans are probably pissed off about what I'm saying about them, but it's all true. I'm just calling a spade a spade. These are two teams that are tough to beat, but you should not fear them. At home, you need to beat Paraguay. At home, you need to beat Australia. And opponent number 3 is the UEFA nation, which can be Turkey, Kosovo, Romania, or Slovakia. There's no point on speculating right now. We'll find out in March who we're facing. Regardless, besides Turkey, the United States is better than all three teams, or the other three teams on paper. And I don't think we're that much worse than Turkey. We have a few guys like Yildiz and Arda Güler that we'd have to worry about. But overall, I think the US can, in fact, match up very well with Turkey. And this is also game number 3. We will have played Paraguay and Australia. And I'm expecting us to get at least 4 points out of those 2 games against Paraguay and Australia. Beat one and tie the other, or maybe beat both. Which means if we get to this game with 4 points, we are basically qualified to the next round as long as we don't get trashed. But hopefully we win the first 2 games. And when we face maybe Turkey, we're already qualified. Regardless, even if Turkey qualifies, while playing at home, I would hope we can defeat them. And understand, finishing in first place in this group is actually very important. And I'm going to talk about that very soon when we talk about the bracket. And understand one thing right here. What is my expectation for this group? I think the United States will finish with 5 to 7 points. I don't think we're going to lose to any of these opponents. I also don't think we're going to beat all these opponents. So we'll get at least 1 win and then maybe 2 draws, or we'll get 2 wins and 1 draw. And with that said, we're probably going to finish in second or first. That is what I expect, and that should actually be the standard. Actually, the standard should be 6 to 7 points and qualifying first by all means necessary. With that said, let's talk about the bracket. All right, so if we finish in first place, we're going to face the third place team of groups B, E, F, I, or J. It can be any of those. So it's kind of tough to project. I ran multiple simulations, and most of the time, the third place team is not very good. A few times, we actually faced Canada in the round of 32 when they advanced in third place in Group B. Now, if we finish in second place, we're going to face the runners-up of Group G that has Belgium, Egypt, New Zealand, and Iran. And honestly, besides New Zealand, I think Belgium, Egypt, or Iran can all finish in second place in that group. That's a fairly balanced group. So finishing first or second, it won't really matter that much for the round of 32. Any of those opponents will be tough, but they're all beatable, especially at home. Like seriously, even Belgium, that golden generation is done. Are they a good team? Of course they're a good team. But this is not the 2014 Belgium and the 2014 US men's national team, and we're not playing Brazil, we're playing the United States. So if we play Belgium in the knockout rounds, I think we can pull an upset. But I want to say this, no matter how many simulations I have done, as long as the US men's national team tops their group, they get an easier pathway to the quarterfinals, with the toughest opponent, if we finish first, being Belgium in the round of 16. And as I said, this golden generation is finished. It's done. And this would be actually a wonderful revenge game from 2014. Let me put it this way. Out of the teams in pot 1, Belgium might be the most beatable one outside of the host nations, which is Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And if we finish first, in the quarterfinals, the United States would end up facing Spain if we top our group and they top their group and they keep winning. So in the multiple simulations that I've done, we have a somewhat easy, not easy, but a realistic pathway to the quarterfinals, where I had simulations that we played Canada in the round of 32, Mexico even in the round of 16, or Belgium, and then eventually we face Spain, which that could be the end of the road. Now, if we finish in second place in our group, we will very likely face Argentina in the round of 16 if we advance out of the round of 32. So just to recap, if we finish first, we wouldn't really face a title contender if everything goes right until the quarterfinals. If we finish in second, we would very likely face Argentina in the round of 16. Okay? A title contender right there, the current champions with Messi. So you want to make a deep run? You want to go to the quarterfinals? Win Group D. Now, if the US men's national team finishes in third place in their group, there are too many variables for us to project in this video. Maybe I'll do a separate video with multiple simulations, but for this one, we're going to skip on that. And at the time of this recording, FanDuel has the following odds for the US men's national team in the World Cup. Of course, this can change as we approach the event, but these are the odds that I found. To win it all, it's a plus 6,000. To reach the final, a plus 2,700. To reach the semifinals, a plus 1,200. And to reach the quarterfinals, plus 330. So, you know what? That can change, but I like those odds to make it to the quarterfinals. Just saying, I kind of like those odds. It seems like there's a good chance that we will make it to the quarterfinals. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go, and let me know in the comment section down below how far do you think the United States will make it in the 2026 World Cup. As time goes on, we will do previews for the specific matchups where we will do deep dives into our opponents with special guests. I want to thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like right now before you go, and have a great day.